morning, and it is a very interesting setup that I talk to this, in the different directions, and that probably sets up the stage that different directions and kind of meet at a point. And so as it was said at the mandate of YIM, I will be it will be not much about the science, and we will be discussing my journey. So, but first of all, this is my first YIM. In India, and organized by India Bioscience. So, thank you, India Bioscience team, Karishma, and everyone here. So, what I will be talking about is bridging boundaries, as the name suggests. And again, to kind of go back, when we were doing our PhD, one of the very favorite pastime was reading PhD comics. So how many of the people here read PhD? Yes, fantastic. So in the PhD comics, this was one of the things that the origin of thesis, and it is you go there and submit it to your thesis supervisor, right? Now, when we talk about the journey, I will actually go back to my childhood, and like every child, I was also being asked, okay, what do you want to be when you grow up? I did not know the word scientist or researcher, but I used to say that I want to become Galileo. Okay? Somehow I read the story of Galileo, and that stuck to me, that someone in search of life, in search of truth, and as well as being the rebel figure of that time, right? And I think that rebellion streak are still there with me. So, so for me, when I was doing my PhD, this was never for me the PhD process. For me, it has always been a treasure hunt. And even today, I would like to think of that research is essentially a treasure hunt. And the interesting part of doing research, as you all know, I don't need to dare talk about that, is that in this research hunt, treasure hunt, you even don't know whether the treasure is there or not to start with, right? There is some map, some guidance, but you really don't know which path to take. However, when we think of which path to take, we don't know, everything is very uncertain, so much of uncertainty. However, as I often tell to my lab mates, is that when the moment under the microscope you see that the co-localization of GFP and RFP, that yellow dot, right? You are the first one in the whole human civilization to see that yellow dot, right? And that is the aha moment that we all live for, and after multiple failures, because research is all about failures after failures after failures, and then seeing that yellow dot. So research has always been for me this kind of treasure hunt. And now when we talk about the treasure hunt, can there be, or when we are talking about the seeking truth, can there be boundaries? Right? It is become obvious that there cannot be the boundaries of streams or discipline and etc. Because you are doing a treasure hunt. If you need a compass, you will use the compass. If you need the forbidden fruit, you will use the forbidden fruit. But it is the way it is. However, still, the people who know me, they know that I am quite active on the social media. As a result, I get a lot of interaction with many budding scientists, and people still often ask me the next question, that is, should I change my field? And I get this question quite often. And I feel like asking, okay buddy, but what is your field? What do you mean by your field? And here I have put the picture of three eminent scientists, Leonardo da Vinci, artist, but I would like to think of him as a scientist, and he is actually, I got to know that my lab works on the organ on chip, and I got to know he was actually the first one to demonstrate organ on chip. Will you call him artist? Will you call him scientist? What will you call him? In middle, as all of you know, Alan Turing. Will you call him mathematician? Will you call him person of artificial intelligence, computer science, biologist? What will you call him? Acharya Jagadish Chandra Bose. Will you call him a physicist or will you call him a biologist? Right? So, boundaries are essentially meaningless, and we all kind of understand that it is not. However, somehow we all get stuck with our thought process of my feet, and that is my. So, sorry. In this talk, I will also try to tell you some of the pointers taken from my own journey, and as I train it will come, I will kind of tell. So, here my pointer is that don't get stuck with something that this is my field, right? Your field is always different, exactly. Now, before I proceed further, I would like to give two cautionary notes. Cautionary note number one is that in our life, we don't have a negative control and a positive control. We cannot do the n equal to 3 reproducibility. It is only one time, right? So I really don't know if what path I have followed, if I followed a different path, it would have been better or worse. I have no way to find out the statistical significance. Second thing is that there is no common equation that I will change the temperature and pressure and I will get the volume in your case, right? All of us have a very different set, very different situation, and what worked for me may or may not work for you. Most probably it will not work for you because your situation is different. But then the whole point is that I will try to give a few pointers which might be useful. So my pointer number one is that field boundaries are meaningless in science, in society, in life. Now, coming back to the journey. So I did my PhD from IIT Kanpur, Department of Chemical Engineering. So I'm a trained chemical engineer. And I worked with Professor Animamshu Ghatak and Professor Ashutosh Sharma. And my work had nothing to do with biology. Okay? It was on some biomimicry engineering design. Then in NCBS, I joined Professor, in STEM NCBS, I joined Professor Jyotsna Dhawan's lab. And these are the people who actually literally taught me how to do the cell biology holding my hand. Literally holding my hand because I had no experience of doing cell biology that point of time. And then I joined Jyotsna's lab, and this is the sum of the so we used to get a small notebook, and it is the notebook from the first week. And there I have written unknown terms, mesenchymal stem cells, angiogenesis, cell cycle, myoblast, motility, etc. After 10 years now, my lab is already doing all of these things, right? So the first week I realized that I need to expand my knowledge base. That is the second part of crossing the boundary. We need to expand our knowledge base. Probably that is obvious. However, knowledge base was not the only thing. It is also the language and the journey. And here at this point, I would like to acknowledge and pay my respect to Jyotsna that her lab was a hardcore cell biology lab. I even don't know what she thought when she took me as a postdoc who did not have any biology experience. But as I was telling you, that the language and the lost in translation. I still remember under the microscope, Ruman, a lab mate, looking at the cells and told me, Abhijit, your cells are not looking happy. I am coming from engineering background. What do you mean by happy? Give me refractive index, give me square area, give me granularity. I can understand. Cells looking happy? Sorry, I don't understand that. In another lab meeting, someone told, this antibody is not working in my hand. What is there in your hand? It's a reaction, either it will work or it will not. What is so special about your hand? Okay, after my whole journey, I realized that the biology is a very different beast and it is a completely non-linear system. So things go anywhere. And then the two joke that in Jyotsna's lab, Jyotsna used to kind of talk about. She used to say, stress and strain are two different things. I always thought I am stressed and I am strained are the same. So for them, stress and strain was like this, we are stressed. And for me, stress and strain was like this. Yes. For them, X and Y was like this, and for me, X and Y was like this. So the second part of the idea is that knowledge base, but as well as every field has their own language, own way of talking. We need to pick up that way of talking so that we can collaborate and we can exchange our ideas. So now this is my lab quickly. So my lab works on mechanobiology and microfluidics, some area. I am not kind of going into the details, but for last 10 years, we are kind of running the lab. And we do a lot of microfluidic work, organology, drug testing platform, etc., etc. So now I come to my third point, and that is the making the connections. So my PhD topic was on, as I said, biomimic design, and it was typically biomimic adhesion. So we tried to mimic the adhesion pad of insects, etc. But the fundamental point was that I was looking into the stress-strain mechanical behavior of a soft squishy band. And I was looking at some kind of microfluidic channel. Now when I look at the cells, and I joined Jyotsna's lab, I saw that, okay, adherent cells, they adhere to their surroundings, they also apply force, they deform. Again, substrate rigidity, understanding of the materials and the mechanics of the materials, those are the connecting dots that I realized, okay, this is where I can connect these two fields. And then we saw that, okay, people have shown that the different tissues have different rigidities, and depending on what kind of substrate you are culturing the cells, you can control their differentiation. Okay, so the first question in Jyotsna's lab that I kind of approached, and I am again quoting Jyotsna. Jyotsna said, no self-respecting biologist would touch this problem. Obviously, jokingly. But what we ask the question, and I would like to kind of I would like you to be a little bit of attention here. What was there that moment of time in the literature is that on a soft substrate you have an adherent cells, it adhere and deform. Fine, well established. But the cells were put in isolated, far away from each other. In our body, are the cells that much far away from each other? They are close. So if I deform here and you are standing there, you should be able to feel that deformation. And that was my first hypothesis. And with that, I don't know how much well it is visible. We showed that, okay, they can sense each other and they form beautiful connections. And this is actually one of my most cited papers that happened. And then, so essentially these two students, Balu and Pankaj, they worked on this. And we have kind of shown that, okay, this can be done. So the third point is that I'm making a connection, I'm picking up a problem which I can deal with. It is not very deep into biology, but it is more towards mechanics, but have a biological meaning, biological significance. And so I'm picking that question to get my ball rolling. Now, jump cut to IIT Bombay. Joined in March 2014. For first 6 months, there was no lab. Then one day I went to the HOD's cabin and I told that, put a door on this corridor and put a table. I need my lab to start. He got up from the chair, we had a whole tour of the department, and then we found a less than 300 square feet junkyard with all the equipments, old equipments from there. And then I said, okay, I can convert this into the lab. You need to give me money. Thanks to the HOD at point of time, he did not go through the whole institute process, he just approved some department funds. With that, we start the lab. So he is the first PhD scholar from my lab, Sanjay, and this was the lab that you can see in building. I mean, when we entered the lab, it was all termites and everything, and then we literally painted and scrubbed the wall, me and Sanjay together. Anyway, that was one problem, but the next problem was that getting enough number of stem cells. I wanted to work on mesenchymal stem cells. Supply of the mesenchymal stem cells, getting them transported from US, etc., was quite difficult. And being a primary cell, they go into replicative senescence after a few number of accessions. So I did not have enough number of cells. So that gave me a real problem to solve for my lab. And then when we looked into the literature, we saw that this is actually an existing problem in the field. So we had to solve that one. And then what Sanjay did, obviously some thought process went on here, I'm not going into that details. What Sanjay did was that he said, instead of culturing the cells on plastic petri plates, if I culture them on a soft substrate, mimicking their native, the microenvironment, probably they will do better. And our hypothesis was correct. We could show that, okay, if you culture them on plastic petri plates, they go into senescence, but if you culture them on a soft substrate, it is maintained. With that, then Pankaj did the kind of the similar question with Professor Rahul Purwar from PSB IITB, and there he has done exactly the same kind of question, but now with the patient-derived keratinocyte, which has a direct clinical application for the broad patient. And we showed that yes, it is also applicable for keratinocytes, although optimum rigidity for mesenchymal stem cells and optimal rigidity for keratinocytes are different. From there, next student, Rohit, he now, I am also now a little bit more confident about biology. I can now utter the word transcription, translation, etc. I understand the canonical and the non-canonical thing. So now, Rohit said I would look into the epigenetics of the thing. Fine, go ahead. And then Rohit showed that what observation Sanjay and Pankaj had, that is most probably, it has the all implication, is covered by the change of epigenetics controlled by the substrate. So I come to my fourth point, is that you start with a problem and then the problem develops itself with the students. You just kind of go with that, with new research scholars comes and they bring new points on the table. So I'm coming to the last part of this talk. So this is only about the science. Now, so what is my last take home message here? And here I say that the cross-disciplinary research, and again, I mean, when I'm talking about the cross-disciplinary research, today morning only in the breakfast I was telling to Ritu or Anindita that probably now everyone is kind of in the cross-disciplinary domain, right? I mean, Karishma is sitting there. Clinician, 5 more minutes or time up? 10 more. So, clinician, scientist, science administrator, right? Vijay is there, so Rup is there. So all our people are coming from different backgrounds. Ritu, chemist, and now. So this is the thing is that when I started that what is your field? Your field might be your quote-unquote comfort zone, but unless you step outside of that comfort zone, it is comfortable, but it is not growing, it is not expanding. Okay? And another point that Professor Shiravitz and Lupta once told me, that Abhijit, how much of the so he was asking me to start my own independent lab, and I told him that Shiravitz, I don't think I am ready yet. And Shiravitz told me that, okay, Abhijit, why do you think you are not ready? And I told him that I don't think I know biology enough yet to start my lab. And Shiravitz said, Abhijit, how many years you spend, you will never be a trained biologist. You will remain a chemical engineer, but you will gain the, you know, an overall view. And he said, I have seen you for last so many years. I know you have done that already. You are already there. And what you need to kind of to start your own independent career, what you need to do is to be ready to talk to different people, to hold a conversation. And you are there, so you can start. Unfortunately, I was still not convinced. I told him, Shilavit, I don't think I am ready. Shilavit said, Abhijit, starting your own lab is like getting married. No one is ever ready. You just jump into it and then it works out. So, to get out of the comfort zone, whatever I have learned through my journey is that, first of all, flexible enough to learn and accept that I do. For example, right now, Arpita, the postdoc, she joined my lab. She is working into the connection between mechanobiology and LNC RNAs. Even 1 year or 1.5 years before Arpita joined, I did not have any idea about LNC RNA. When Arpita came, and Arpita said that I would like to look into, because she is an LNC RNA expert, she wanted to connect that with the mechanobiology. I said, okay, I will support you in terms of the mechanobiology. LNC RNA part, you will teach me. And probably in another year time, I will be confident enough to talk about LNC RNA and higher. Okay. Second part is that to build a team of people with different expertise and strength, what we call about diversity. And here I am just talking about not just the streams, but that is one important part, but also people coming from different ways of life with different life experiences. So again, if I look at my team, we have people from B Pharma, chemical engineering, biotechnology, biochemistry, and all of these different people. Plant biology, and they all kind of come together and we kind of try to do something. And last part, as again, to have the collaborators. You will not know everything, so you will need to have the collaborators. But the important part is that to respect them, which often we see the missing in the whole scenario. That when you have a collaborator, you have to respect their contributions in the whole journey. So, but then there is a note of caution in case of interdisciplinary research, and this is the balance of depth and breadth. That if I spread out thinly without getting the depth of any of the topic, then probably that will not take us too far. So kind of bringing that balance is, I guess, important. So I'm coming to my last slide, and this is for the people who are kind of going to start their lab or doing their postdoc, etc. And this I made long ago, and it is like ABC, this is a long list. I'm not going to the whole list, but some of the points that I kind of believe is very important. One is that ask for help and offer help. Okay, if you need help, reach out, and if you have something to help someone, again, do that. Having the gratitude when you get the help, having the gratitude. Hire carefully. The first group of the students, they will set the tone of your lab. So your initial hiring, you may need to wait a little bit, but still you need to be guided that carefully. Inclusion, diversity, etc. I have already told. I am not going through each of the points. But then some of the points I would like to touch also. One is that I have written here as jogging and ZZZ sleeping. That is taking care of your health, because it is not a 5 years sprint run. You have a long, long marathon. So take care of yourself, and here comes that you part. So that take care of you, take care of your friends, family, have fun. Display that you care. I think that is very important. That care for your team. And I think that is true for the research team as well as in our personal life. Just caring no one is a mind reader. So you also need to, I'm not talking about false display. You have to be caring, but you also need to tell and show that yes, you do care for the growth of your team members. And after all of these things, there is this X there, that there will always be an X factor associated with it, that things will not follow your plan, you will fall sick, your parents will fall sick, your loved one will leave, or all of those things will happen. Again, I was talking to Karishma today morning that we are here because probably we were at the right time, at the right place. That happened. If, as I said, life, we don't have a positive or a negative control. If the situation was a little different, I don't know where the things would have gone. So the X factors will always be there, but with those X factors in mind, I think that our job is to reduce the uncertainty or reduce the role of the X factors, work on whatever in our hands, and then move ahead with the expecting the best. Thank you. This is my group that has gone up, gone down in the last couple of the years. This is all my collaborators. Again, without whose help, I could not do whatever we have done. And finally, obviously, no work could be done without funding, and funding meaning the citizens of this country. So, thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, that was really inspiring. Yeah, wonderful talk. We have time for a couple of questions. Yeah? There are questions?
Very nice talk. So what is your opinion now that antibody can change its behavior with the age?
Yes, actually we have seen, I can tell you one very interesting story, is that one antibody was working absolutely fine, and then it stopped working. Same person, same hand, same antibody, everything is same, stopped working. And then it was realized that when incubation was done, initially it was done just under the AC. And initially it was done somewhere else. Later on, it was done just under the AC, and the temperature was not the same, so the incubation time was not working. So yes, it depends on the hand. And you take the conclusion of this.
Okay, there's one here,
Yeah.
on this side.
So I wanted to
Abhijit.
ask that basically when we try to become a multidisciplinary scientist or something, especially when you're starting out, people ask you that then what are you doing? If you need like 5 other people to do this, then how can we trust that you can do something on it? How do you navigate that fine line between like, look, I can do things on my own, but I want to do bigger things?
I guess that is a fantastic and very, 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 very relevant question. So, first part of the story is that, as I was giving you the first example, that I will pick up the things where 70-80% of the things I know. And then I will, collaborate with someone who is complementary to my expertise. So that any person who is actually interested, looking at the publication, will be able to tell that this is coming from this person and this is coming from that person. And then as you move on, then obviously you will establish, people will know you, and then you can take kind of longer risk, undergrounded or higher risk. And the other answer to it is that, as you said, is that I would like to answer a bigger question. So there, to choose your collaborator with complementary expertise. Don't choose your collaborator with an overlapping expertise. That is not good.
Okay, thank you.